In today's video, we're going to look at some very similar but slightly different words that you need to get right if you want to sound even more natural in English. Stay tuned. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Lloyd's Everyday English here on YouTube. If you have not subscribed yet and you want to take your English to the next level, you should probably hit that subscribe button and the notification bell as well so you never miss another video. Now, in this video, we are going to look at some very similar words in English which have a slight difference between them, and it's very important that you know the difference between these words. So we're going to look at four specific words. The ones we're going to look at today are the difference between to dream of and to dream about. What's the difference between them? Also, small and little. What's the difference? To shout, to yell, to scream. We're going to look at that one too. And job versus work. Okay, so those are the words on the menu for today. And these words were actually, these questions were asked by a couple of our members from my private community. It's called English TV Live. If you would like more information about our private community, you can just click here. But thank you to Kate in Bulgaria and Victoria over in Belarus. They were the members who asked these questions in our private WhatsApp group. So without further ado, I'm going to get to the first one for today's. As I said, we're going to look at to dream of and to dream about. So what is the difference? Well, if we use, it's a difference of preposition, of course, right? Dream of, dream about. Now, if you dream about something, this is usually literal, okay? It's usually literal. And dream of is usually a goal, a desire, a wish, a want, something you're imagining for the future. So dream about is just when you dream. When you go to sleep and you have a dream, you dream about something, okay? However, you will hear native English speakers also use dream about to talk about future goals and dreams, etc. But just to keep it simple, I'm going to divide it into these two. So dream about, dream of. For example, last night, I had a dream about you. I had a dream about you. Just want to let you know. Yes, you, watching right now. I was dreaming about you. I have been dreaming about my school days recently. What do you think it means? So actually, this is kind of true. This does happen from time to time. I dream about my school days. Let me know in the comments if the same thing happens to you. Dream about maybe being back at school, being in an exam at school, or being with school friends that I haven't seen for many, many years. So you dream about that. I don't know what that means, though. Now, dream of. I'm dreaming of a day when COVID isn't a part of our lives anymore. I think all of us can agree with that, relate to that, right? I'm sure we're sick and tired of COVID taking over our lives, slowing down our lives all around the world, lockdowns, temperature checks at restaurants, wearing a mask everywhere, and of course the terrible things happening. But we all dream of a day when it will not be part of our lives anymore. I dream of winning the lottery one day, right? So again, you are dreaming, you're imagining, you're hoping, you're wishing for something in the future. You dream of it, okay? But as I said, you could also use about here. So a dream about is more flexible. You could say, I dream about winning the lottery one day, but I'd say it's probably even better to say, I dream of. So hopefully that makes sense. We'll have a little quiz at the end, just to make sure you are paying attention and that you've got it. So dream of and dream about. Now let's move along, shall we, to the next one. Small and little, right? So small and little, these are very, very, very similar, but they are a little bit different. A little bit different. There we go. Now, small small. If we just use the word small, small is I'd say the more simple, basic word out of the two. It just means a specific size, dimensions, measurements. So if you want to talk about something which has small or little size, right, you would generally use the word small. Okay? So, for example, my old phone had a very small screen compared to my new one. So I got this phone here. I'd say about 6 or 7 months ago, just before lockdown, luckily. And when I got this phone, it's not got the biggest screen, but these days the new phones have bigger and bigger screens than before. And I was comparing it to my previous phone, and I realized that, wow, my previous phone is so small, right? My previous phone is so small, and this one's much bigger. Now, I wouldn't really use the word little there. I'm talking just simply about the measurements, the size. I would say small. This shirt is a small size, okay? This shirt is a small size. So, or you could also say a size small. So when we talk about sizes of clothes, of meals, maybe you go to a restaurant like McDonald's and they say, do you want a small meal, a medium, large? Large sounds good to me. Actually, in my case, this shirt that I got, I really like this shirt. Hope you like it too. And it is actually a size small. Even though I'm pretty big, I'm pretty tall, but I find at certain shops, actually the small size just fits a little bit nicer. If you get the medium size, it can be a little bit baggy, doesn't look as good. So I find the small size works pretty well. I would not say the little size. Sounds kind of weird in that case. Apartments in Tokyo are often very small. I actually lived in Tokyo for about 1 month several years ago, and I can testify to the fact that this is true. I lived in a very small room. My bed was actually on the floor. Everything in Tokyo was actually pretty small. I remember often banging my head on the door because everything was too small. But yeah, in big cities like London, Tokyo, New York, there's a lot of people, but not enough space. So often people have to live in small apartments, unless you have a lot of money, right? Small. So again, I wouldn't really say little. You could say little, but I'd say it's generally more common to say small. Now, little has like a slightly different feeling with the word little compared to small. If I want to express sympathy for somebody, I want to show that something is very cute or even weak, you can use the word little just to give that more of an emphasis for that kind of meaning. So for example, "Aw, this kitten is so little." Now, I could say that the kitten is very small. That's perfectly fine as well. As I said, they are often interchangeable. But if I say little, it just gives a little bit more of a cute feeling in that way. And also, little can also mean young as well, like a little boy, little kitten. Well, in this case, the old lady's not that young, but she's maybe a bit weak. So I could say, I helped the little old lady cross the road. If I said the small old lady, then that refers more to her body size or shape. So does that make sense? It wouldn't really work in this case. The little old lady, it gives you more of that idea that she's a little bit weak, a little bit delicate, maybe sweet. So I helped the little old lady cross the road. I live in a little village. Now, in this case, you could say a small village if you just want to refer specifically to the size of the village. If you say a little village, it just makes me imagine it's kind of cuter, kind of like, it's kind of a quaint, sweet little village. Little sounds a little bit, a little bit better in this case. However, you can also use it to describe people who are not so sweet. So if you want to describe somebody's personality, he's a little man. Don't pay attention to him. So somebody's a little man. I guess you can actually probably say a small man as well. But you'll hear this sometimes when somebody is maybe being very mean, very cruel, but actually it's not about you, it's about them. They maybe feel insecure. They're just not a very nice person. They try to make other people feel bad because it makes them feel better. You're a little man. You're a small. You could say small actually as well here, but I think little sounds a little bit more common. All right. We're not finished though with little and small, because we also have to mention that little is used with uncountable nouns. Okay? Little is used with uncountable nouns. For example, I only have a little money on me, right? I only have a little money on me. Maybe somebody asks to borrow some money from you, and you say, oh, I'm sorry, I only have a little money on me. So little is uncountable. You can't say I have a small money on me. You can say something else with small. We'll get to that in a moment. Can we make this quick? I only have a little time. A little time. And you notice as well, just a quick pronunciation thing. When I say little quickly, it becomes more like a D sound. Little. I only have a little time. Little time. So time, money, they are uncountable. So you can have a little time, a little money. It means you don't have so much of that resource. Okay, in this case, uncountable. Now, how would we talk about countable nouns then? Well, we would use small, but we would have to say a small number, or you could say a small amount as well. Now, generally, a small number is with countable nouns, or you could just say a few, okay, a few people, a few books, a few drinks, or you could say a small amount of, and this is generally with uncountable nouns. So instead of saying, like we said before, I have a little time, a little money, you could say a small amount of time or money, but not a small number of that, because small number of something is only used for countable nouns. For example, I have a small number of close friends, or you often use the word only here as well to emphasize it. I only have a small number of friends, or I only have a few friends. So in this case, a few close friends. So remember, friends is countable, so we have to say a small number of close friends, not a little friends. Little is with uncountable nouns. I have a small amount of time. Hurry up, please. Or I only have a little time. Hurry up, please. And lastly, I think this is lastly, we can also use little to describe your feelings. So you could be a little tired, a little annoyed, a little embarrassed. Now this is an adjective of degree. So in other words, we could say, I'm tired, I'm very tired, I'm a little tired, I'm quite tired. It's basically the same as quite in this case. However, it depends on your tone of voice, depends on the context. You might be saying, I'm a little tired, I'm a little annoyed, but actually it means, especially with annoyed or angry, it actually means you're very angry. You can usually tell by somebody's tone of voice. So, for example, I'll be honest, I'm a little annoyed with how you acted today, right? I'm a little annoyed. I'm a little annoyed. That actually probably means I'm very annoyed, okay? So I'm a little annoyed. You're not saying I'm a small annoyed. It doesn't make sense. So little, adjective of degree. I'm a little tired, but I think I can finish this project tonight. I'm a little tired, but I think I can finish it. Don't worry. So that is little and small finish. Now let's move on to the next one for today, which is another question which was asked by one of our members, and that was, what is the difference between shout, yell, and scream? Do you know the difference? Shout, yell, and scream. So why don't we break them down? Firstly, to shout. Now, all of these obviously have a loud voice, right? Now, to shout, obviously, you make your voice louder, but this is more general. So if you shout, maybe you're angry, maybe you're happy, maybe you're neither. It could just be that you need to speak louder. It doesn't have, it depends on the context. It doesn't necessarily have to be angry or have to be happy. Could be though. Now, yell. If you yell, that means that you are angry. Okay? You yell at somebody, that means you are angry. You can't yell when you're happy, when you're, it doesn't really work. So yell would only be angry. And probably yell is like the next step after shout. So you shout, you yell, it's even stronger. And probably the strongest one is the next one, which is scream. So scream is probably the strongest one out of these three. Now, it depends on the context again, but it could suggest fear. You could scream out of fear, or you could scream if you are excited. And very importantly, scream generally has a higher pitch. So if somebody goes, ah, sorry, my scream needs some work, but that sound would be a scream. Okay? Hope that is clear. I don't have a microphone, so I'll probably need to shout, right? Let's say you're giving a speech and the microphone is broken, or you don't have a microphone, and there's a big audience, and probably after COVID, so you have to shout so everybody can hear you. All right? Doesn't mean that you're angry in this situation, but you could say, there's no need to shout. I said I was sorry. So in this case, somebody is shouting at you. That means they are angry. So it depends on the context. By the way, I remember when I was in South Korea, and students would talk about, let's say, for example, their boss or teacher shouting at them. They often use the word scold, S-C-O-L-D, scold, which also means to be burning hot. And you could use this word, scold, but it's not really that commonly used. But I noticed in Korea, it was used all the time. Just a little thing that I noticed there. So I would rather use one of these words we're looking at here. For example, the boss yelled at me during the meeting today. So you made a mistake, you did something wrong, and the boss yelled at you. Okay? The boss yelled at you. The boss shouted really loud. In an angry way, he yelled at you. I screamed in fear while watching the horror movie, right? Imagine you're watching the horror movie and there's a very scary moment. Ah! Ah! That's a scream, okay? There's actually a very famous horror movie called Scream, and Scream 2, and Scream 3. Is there a Scream 4? Which I'm sure you have heard of before. But as I said, it's not only for fear, it could be extreme excitement. So young ladies always screamed during the Beatles performances. If you go back and watch some of the Beatles performances back in the 60s and 70s, especially in the 60s, the young ladies in the crowd would go crazy. They would just scream, and you couldn't even hear the music. And they were trying to play their songs, but nobody could hear. They were just so excited to see them. They would be screaming. I guess maybe these days, or maybe recently, a similar case would be with One Direction, when the young girls saw them. Also, BTS from Korea is very popular around the world these days. The fans go crazy, and they scream when they see them. So, it could be excitement or fear. And remember, it's generally a higher pitch. Okay, now the last one we're going to look at today, I think this is the last one for today. Yes, it is. So the last one is going to be the difference between work and job. Now, this is a very confusing one. This is a very confusing one. This was requested by one of our members in English TV Live, Victoria. She has had some trouble with these two words, and I understand why. These are very, very similar words, sometimes interchangeable, but there are cases when they don't interchange exactly. So you need to be careful because there is a slight difference in the way that you use these words and the meaning as well. But firstly, we should say that both job and work can be used as nouns. They can both be used as nouns. However, work is uncountable. Job is countable. All right? So maybe you have had 5 jobs in the last 5 years. I don't know. But you would not say 5 works. I've been working in 5 jobs. Only work can be used as a verb. This is very important. Now, I don't think you would try and say I job, you job, but just remember only work can be a verb. But I think you knew that already. So, what is the difference between these two then when they are nouns? Well, as we said, work is uncountable, job is countable, but there is another difference as well. Now, work is more general. It's the activity you do, it's the field that you work in, but job is the specific or official work that you do. So imagine work is like the umbrella, and then under the umbrella you have your job, right? So you do that work in your job. Now, we could also use the word occupation as well instead of job. So just to help you remember that. So you could say occupation, you could say job. Occupation is a little bit more formal, but just to help you remember that. Now, a job is something that you are paid to do. Okay? Now, you work very hard in your job to receive your salary. Maybe you work hard, maybe not. So a job is something that you are paid to do, and officially, so you have a job at a restaurant, for example, you work there and you receive a salary. Now, job can also describe the specific tasks that you complete during a day. So this is another meaning of work that we can use. So when you have, if you talk about the specific tasks during the day, we can call these jobs. I have many jobs to do today. I have many different jobs. So let's look at some examples. Hopefully this will help to, to see the difference a little bit. I know it is very confusing. And if you're still confused after this, well, that means I didn't do a very good job, but I'll try my best. I'm looking for a new job. Can you help me? So let's say you work as a doctor and you are looking for a new job at a hospital. So the specific position would be a job. You can say, I'm on the job hunt. I'm looking for a job. So the official specific, just remember specific, right? The specific place that you work or the position that you work in, that is your job. Now, a common mistake that I've heard people say is, I start my job at 9 a.m. every day. Now, this sounds a little bit strange. I would rather say I start work at 9 a.m. every day. Why? Well, when we work, we're talking about the activity, okay? The general activity. So you work in your job. You don't really start your job because if you say I start my job, that gives me the impression that it's the first day in your new job. Does that make sense? Let's say you got a new job and you say, oh, wow, tomorrow I'm starting my job at 9 a.m. That would mean it's the first day. But on a regular day, you would just say, if talking about your routine, I start work at 9 a.m. every day. Or I have to start work tomorrow at 6 a.m. Oh, it's going to be very difficult to wake up. I'm not happy in my current job. So maybe you enjoy the work that you do, right? You like to work as a teacher, for example, but you're not happy in the current job, the current school, or the current position that you work in. So you want to find a new job. You don't want to find a new work. Maybe you like the work that you do. Maybe you want to find a new career, maybe. But this specific job, you don't like it. You don't like the salary, maybe you don't like the boss, the location, whatever it happens to be, your co-workers, you're not happy in your current job. Okay, so hopefully that helps to kind of clarify the difference between those words that we've looked at today. But before we finish, I'm going to give you a little quiz, just to check that you've been listening closely. So why don't we start off with this question here? Okay, you ready? Here we go. This hotel room has a really something bed. Now, would you more commonly use the word little or small? Little or small? I mean, you could probably use either one because, as I said before, they can kind of be interchangeable. But which one do you think would sound more natural in this case? Small bed would be more natural. So this hotel room has a really small bed. I'm pretty tall, so that would be that would not be good for me. Okay, if you got that one, good job. Let's move on to another question. The angry customer at the waiter. So remember we looked at shout, yell, and scream. And actually, in this case, any three of those could be correct, actually. You could say the angry customer shouted, yelled, or screamed at the waiter, which is not nice, of course. But which one do you think would be the best one to show that the customer was angry? Which one would be the best one to show that the customer was angry? Based on what I taught you just now. It would be yelled, okay? The angry customer yelled at the waiter, right? The angry customer yelled at the waiter. Now, you could say shouted, you could say screamed. All of those would be fine, just based on what I taught you just now, which is that yelled is more connected to being angry. Okay, so that would probably be my first choice in that case. Next question. I've been dreaming a better future. I've been dreaming a better future. Which preposition would be the better choice here? Of or about? Of or about? I've been dreaming. Maybe you're having a difficult time, difficult life, and you're imagining a better future. You are dreaming of a better future. I'm dreaming of. So remember we said when you dream of something, it's a wish, a desire, a hope, an ambition. And dream about is the thing that you dreamt when you were sleeping. So just remember that. But as I also said, you can also use about. Some people will say dream about for future ambitions as well. But dream of is probably the better choice here. Okay, last question for today. To make sure you were listening closely today. And that question is, the sentence is, I think you should quit this and find a new one. I think you should quit this and find a new one. Is it job or work? Work or job? Job or work? Work or job? Which one do you think sounds better here? I think you should quit this job and find a new one. Hopefully that's not the case for you, but that is about it for today's video. So we looked at dream of, dream about, shout, yell, scream, job, work, little, small. I think we might have to have a part 2 and 3 of this topic. So similar sounding words, similar words which have a slightly different meaning. So I hope this was useful. If it was, make sure you give this video a big like and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave your comments. Leave any example sentences, because that's the best way to remember these new words, or maybe not new words, but new ways of using them that I've taught you today. So leave a comment below with some sentences practicing, or maybe some other words which you are confused about the difference between. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for watching. This was Lloyd's Everyday English, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye-bye.